Mounce BBG, chapter 20, sentence 6. All right, this might fool you if you're not thoughtful looking at this first word here. But what you'll recognize is that it has a smooth breathing mark here. All right, so it's not hey, it's a, which is or. So or, and then you have negation, and then you have this tau epsilon. Hopefully you recognize that as a second plural, as always. Anytime you have a theta epsilon or a theta epsilon or a tau epsilon, here you got a tau epsilon, second plural, boom. From oida, of course, so that's easy enough. And or, do y'all not know, right? So you're kind of saying, well, okay, that sounded like a question. So we go down here and we recognize that that is a question, and you look a little bit further, and then you realize that there's another question. So you need to kind of change your approach or your tack based on the fact that you basically have two questions in this sentence. So make sure that you state it or give it as a question. So in this case, you're going to say, or do y'all not know? And then you have this hot tea clause, and hopefully you remember with hot tea, either because or that, generally. And if it's going to be a part of an argument or a reason, you're going to go with because. If it's going to be the follow a verb of communication or cognition, it's usually going to be that. Here it follows a verb of cognition, so you're going to go with that. You don't have any reason not to. So, or do y'all not know that? What is it that y'all might not know? And then you have, here's the content of what y'all may not know, and your subject here is the saints, right? And as soon as you see that, hopefully what you recognize is that comes from hagios, which is not a noun. This is an adjective. So be very, very careful here. You're going to look at that as the subject, and yes, you'd be right to look at that as a subject, but it's a subject because it's a substantival adjective. It is a substantival adjective because this noun is an adjective. There's nothing else around that it modifies, and it has its own definite article. So as soon as you see that combination, you know that you're dealing with a substantival adjective, which is one of those things that can make a great exam question. So, or do y'all not know that the saints, and then you have, ton kosmon, you recognize that's probably your direct object, because both of those have that new, accusative singular ending for the world, but then you got to, yank that out, toss it to the end, go to your verb first. We're going to look at that verb, and then what we see is krinusin. So we look at that and we go, okay, the krino is I judge, and you might be tempted to go, or do y'all not know that the saints judge the world or are judging the world? That might be your temptation. But the other little piece, and the important reason to notice circumflex accents, one of the things I would tell you always to notice and to think about are the circumflex accents, and that's what you're going to see here, because that's really the main distinctive separating the present tense form of krino in the third person plural, because hopefully you see that usi with the movable nu, and you recognize that that's third plural. So hopefully you recognize that, and that's going to go with hoi hagioi. So the saints judge, right, is what you might think. But as soon as you see that circumflex, you say, well, wait a minute. If I see a circumflex, then usually that tells me I'm either dealing with a contract verb in the present or a liquid verb in the future. Those are two main options. So you go, okay, what verb am I talking about? Krino. As soon as you say krino, you hear that nu, and you go, liquid verb. Well, liquid verb is going to be in the future when, guess what? When you see that circumflex. So you see that circumflex, you see that it's a liquid verb because of that nu, tells you it's in the future. So that question becomes, or do y'all not know that the saints will judge the world? Okay? Do y'all not know? It is the same kind of question, right? Do y'all not know that? And then you have angels, but again, accusative plural, so you're dealing again with a direct object that he fronted, and then go down to your verb, and again, you look at this ending, and you say, well, first plural, and looks like it pretty much like it would if it were a present tense, but the fact is, you're still dealing with a liquid verb, and you still got that circumflex there, and as soon as you see that circumflex, you ought to be thinking, circumflex tells me it's generally one of two things. And as soon as I see the circumflex and the new together, I'm dealing with a liquid future. Liquid future. All right? So, again, if you memorize the lexical form, you know it's krino. You know that that's a liquid verb in the first place. And you put that together with the circumflex, and you've got a future. So, doing the entire sentence as a whole, or do y'all not know that the saints will judge the world? Do y'all not know that we will judge angels? Question mark. Okay, so question mark, question mark.